Humans met the galactic fleet and just laughed. The sky above Earth was quiet that morning. People walked outside, children played in the parks, and the usual sounds of cars and birds filled the air. Nothing seemed unusual, and yet millions of people across the world were looking up. Something had appeared in the distance, something large enough to block the stars. Daniel Ross stood on a balcony of a tall building in New York. His hands rested on the railing as he watched the horizon. He was a soldier, though he had not been in a real war in years. The sun reflected on his dark hair, and for a moment he thought the sight might be beautiful if it were not so frightening. "Daniel, are you seeing this?" Lisa Moore, a scientist and his longtime friend, stepped up beside him. She was calm as always, but Daniel could see the tension in her eyes. "I see it," he said. His voice was steady, but his stomach felt strange. "I have never seen anything like it." From space, a fleet of ships moved closer. They were massive. Each one could have held hundreds of smaller vessels, and the metal glinted in the sunlight. The ships were not like anything humans had built. They were sharp and angular, with lights that blinked in strange patterns. It was clear that this fleet belonged to beings far older and stronger than humanity. Lisa adjusted her glasses. "The sensors say they are scanning Earth. They are sending signals. I don't understand the language, but it is clear it is a warning." Daniel nodded. He had fought in difficult situations before, and he had seen panic destroy strong groups of people. But he did not panic. Instead, he felt a strange calm. Something in him told him that humans were not going to run. Not now. Aaron Hill, a young officer, ran toward them. His uniform was neat, but his face was pale. "They are huge," he said, almost in a whisper. I don't know if we can fight them." "Maybe we don't need to fight," Daniel said. He glanced at the ships. "Maybe they are expecting fear and we don't need to give it to them." Lisa shook her head. "I don't think they understand human behavior. They have never faced us before. They think fear is the same everywhere." Daniel smiled slightly. "Then we will confuse them. That might be enough." The aliens sent a message. It appeared as a giant projection above the clouds, and everyone who looked could see a strange face with many eyes and thin, sharp arms. Its voice was loud in every language at once, translating itself automatically. "Humans of Earth," it said, "you are surrounded. You must surrender. Resistance is meaningless. Your world will be ours as it has been for hundreds of others. Submit now or be destroyed." The people on the ground felt a chill and some ran, but not everyone. On the roof with Daniel, Lisa, and Aaron, no one moved. They listened carefully. They could see that the fleet was powerful. The ships were enormous and they moved with perfect precision. Daniel stepped forward. "Impressive," he said quietly, "but I've seen disasters. I've seen floods, earthquakes, and fires that could kill millions, and I've seen humans survive them all." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "You mean you're not afraid?" Daniel shook his head. "Fear is for the unprepared. We are ready for this in ways they will not understand." Aaron looked at him, then at the sky. "You really think humans can just stand against them?" "We do more than stand," Daniel said. "We adapt. We survive. And sometimes we even laugh when things are dangerous." Aaron frowned. "Laugh?" "Yes," Daniel said. "Not because we are foolish, but because we have faced death before in many forms, and we have learned that panic helps no one. Calmness is our real strength." Claire Adams, an engineer who had been working on new spacecraft designs, joined them. She held a tablet that showed the alien fleet in detail. "Their technology is incredible," she said. "Their weapons could wipe out a continent in minutes, but we have tricks too. We've hidden some of our defenses. They won't know everything about us." Lisa nodded. "It is strange. They expect fear, but humans are unpredictable." Daniel smiled faintly. "Exactly, and that might be the first mistake they make." Below, on the streets of the city, people paused and stared at the sky. Some held hands, some took pictures, but most simply watched. Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. In Japan, Brazil, Kenya, and Canada, humans did not panic. They watched and whispered to each other, trying to understand what this new moment in history meant. The alien projection spoke again. "We have destroyed worlds. Your resistance is futile. You will be like the others." A small laugh escaped Aaron's lips. He quickly covered his mouth, feeling guilty, but Daniel noticed. He gave a small nod. "Good," Daniel said. "They hear it, they see it. That is enough for now. Humans do not tremble when told they will die. We smile. That confuses stronger beings, and confusion is power." Claire frowned. "Are you saying we should play with them?" Daniel shook his head. "Not play, observe, calm. Let them wonder why we do not fall like others. Humans are strange that way. We are tiny yet stubborn, fragile yet clever. The galaxy does not know this yet. But they will learn." The fleet moved closer. Ships that seemed the size of mountains now looked close enough to touch. Their weapons glowed faintly, warning that they could fire at any moment. But still, no human on the balcony moved toward panic. They studied, they planned, they waited. Lisa tapped her tablet. "They are scanning our cities now. I can see the energy signatures. They are looking for defenses, for armies, for hidden weapons." Daniel smiled. "Let them look. We have defenses, yes, but not the ones they expect. And we will not reveal everything at once." Aaron swallowed hard. "It feels like waiting for a storm, a very big storm." "Exactly," Daniel said. "But we have faced storms before. Hurricanes, tornadoes, wars. Humans are still here. We learn from fear, but we do not let it control us. This fleet may have power, but it does not have experience. That is our advantage." The alien voice came again, louder this time. "Prepare to submit. We will give you one chance. Resistance will bring death to all." Daniel looked at the city below. He saw the small movements of people, the way they were pausing but not running. He felt pride. Humans were ready, not because they had more weapons or more technology, but because they understood something the aliens might never understand. Lisa said, "Daniel, what if they attack?" He nodded slowly. "Then we defend, but we do it without fear, without panic, and perhaps with a little humor. Humans laugh at danger because it makes us stronger. It reminds us that life is still ours." Aaron looked at him again, a small smile forming. "You really think they will understand?" Daniel shrugged. "They may never understand, but it does not matter. We do not fight to make them understand. We fight because we must. And sometimes the right attitude is stronger than the strongest weapon." The alien projection paused. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, slowly, hundreds of ships began to form new patterns in the sky, preparing for possible attacks. The humans watched quietly. No one shouted, no one ran. They waited, calm and measured. Claire whispered, "It is strange seeing all that power and not feeling afraid." Daniel nodded. "That is what makes us human. We have learned to survive when everything seems hopeless. And that is a lesson no alien fleet has seen before." The sun rose higher, casting light on the massive ships. They were enormous, yet Earth seemed unchanged. Daniel, Lisa, Aaron, and Claire continued to watch. For the first time, humanity and the galaxy truly met. And humanity did what it often did in the face of impossible odds. It simply watched, calm and ready to respond. For now there was silence, the silence of understanding, the silence of power. And quietly the humans laughed, not at the aliens, but at the strangeness of the moment. They laughed at fear itself, because they had learned it was never stronger than hope. The alien fleet hung above the earth like a shadow that refused to move. Each ship was immense, sharper and larger than any human imagination could fully grasp. From space, the fleet looked like a forest of metal trees, black and silver, with blinking lights that seemed alive. But on Earth, humans did not panic. They prepared. They observed. And they waited. Inside a large command center, far below the city streets, humans worked quickly. The room was filled with blinking screens, maps, and holographic projections. Officers and scientists moved with calm efficiency. Among them were Daniel Ross, Lisa Moore, Aaron Hill, and Claire Adams. Each had a role, but all shared the same determination: to understand the fleet and find a way forward without falling into fear. Lisa stood in front of a large display screen showing a massive map of the solar system. Red dots moved across the stars, each one representing a ship in the alien fleet. "They are organized," she said quietly. "Every movement is precise. Every ship communicates with the others." "It is unlike anything humans have faced before," Daniel nodded. "We expected that. They are powerful, yes, but precision does not always mean intelligence. It just means they follow their rules." Aaron looked at the projections and frowned. "Their weapons, they can destroy cities in seconds. A single blast could wipe out millions. How do we even stand against that?" Claire tapped her tablet and smiled faintly. "We do not stand against it with weapons yet. We stand with ideas. We show them that strength is not only metal and fire. Strength can be stubbornness, courage, and knowing when to act." Aaron shook his head. "I do not understand. How can we resist such overwhelming power?" Daniel stepped closer to him. "You are thinking like a soldier who measures strength by size. Humans are different. We adapt. We survive. Sometimes the smallest tool can turn the tide if it is used at the right moment." Lisa studied the data again. "They are sending messages, more messages. The language is strange, but it is clear they expect fear. They think fear is universal." "Then we give them something unexpected," Daniel said. He looked at the young officer and smiled slightly. "We do not give them fear. We give them calm, confusion. That is a human strength." Aaron blinked. "Confusion?" "Yes," Daniel replied. "If they expect us to panic and we do not, they lose control. That is the first step." Outside, people continued their routines. Farmers worked in fields, children played in playgrounds, and teachers guided their students. Across continents, humanity did not tremble. In cities, parks, and villages, humans paused to watch the massive ships, but they did not run. Some laughed quietly, not at the aliens, but at the fear itself. They had survived worse. Claire walked to a console that showed energy patterns from the alien fleet. "They are scanning the Earth's surface, looking for hidden weapons, trying to find armies, but their sensors do not know everything. We have shields in place. They cannot see the real defenses yet." Daniel nodded. "Good, let them look. Let them wonder. That is part of the plan. If they think they understand us, they are wrong. Humans are always more unpredictable than they expect." Lisa tapped her tablet again. "They are projecting something in the sky. A warning, or maybe a demonstration of power." The holographic projection appeared above the Earth. The same alien figure from before, with many eyes and thin arms, appeared. Its voice filled every city and every device simultaneously. "Humans of Earth," it said, "you are weak. You are small. You have nothing to protect you from our power. Surrender now or be destroyed. Resistance is meaningless." People below stopped to watch. Some whispered in fear, but many simply stared in silence. Daniel, Lisa, Aaron, and Claire remained calm, observing the projection carefully. Daniel smiled faintly. "They are confident. They think fear will work. They are wrong." Aaron whispered, "Do you really think we can just ignore them?" "We do more than ignore," Daniel said. "We understand, we study, we wait, and we respond only when it is necessary. That is how humans survive." Lisa looked at the projections and frowned. "They show images of planets they destroyed, cities in flames, millions dead. They expect us to see this and panic." Daniel's eyes were steady. "And we do not panic, we study it, we learn from it. Humans do not run from the impossible. We find a way to survive no matter the cost." Claire tapped her tablet. "Our satellites show their energy weapons. If they fire at a city, it would be gone in seconds, but our shields can absorb some impact, enough to give us time to act. Time is what we need." Aaron swallowed hard. "Time, I hope it is enough." Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "It will be. Humans are patient. We have survived plagues, natural disasters, wars. We survive by thinking, not by panicking. That is why we are still here." Outside, the aliens fired a small demonstration blast. A mountain far away exploded in a cloud of smoke and rock. People screamed at the distance, but not Daniel and his team. They watched. The blast was powerful, yes, but it did not destroy their resolve. Lisa said quietly, "They want us to fear, to surrender, but we do not. That is the difference." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. Strength is not only in weapons. Strength is in knowledge, courage, and the will to survive. Humans have it in abundance. That is what they do not understand." Aaron looked at the sky again. "It is strange. We are so small compared to them, and yet we are not afraid." "That is human nature," Daniel replied. "We are small, fragile, and often weak, but we adapt, we fight. And sometimes the right attitude is stronger than the strongest weapon." Claire smiled faintly. "They think they are teaching us a lesson, but the lesson is ours. They do not understand us yet." Daniel looked around the command center. Officers moved quickly, making calculations, sending messages, checking defenses. None panicked. None ran. Every movement was calm, precise, and purposeful. Lisa spoke again. "I am beginning to see why humans confuse them. We do not react the way they expect. We do not panic. We do not scream. We do not run. And that confuses them." "Exactly," Daniel said. "Confusion is power. If they think we will act in fear and we act in calm instead, they will make mistakes. That is the first step." Aaron nodded slowly. "I think I understand now. It is not that we are stronger in weapons or ships, it is that we are stronger in spirit." Daniel smiled faintly. "Yes. That is the essence of humanity. We face danger with courage. We survive when others would fall. That is why, when they attack, we are ready. And even now, we are already stronger than they know." The aliens projected a new image in the sky. This time it was a map showing the Earth's surface, highlighting cities, power plants, and military bases. "Your defenses are weak. Surrender or die." Daniel studied it carefully. "They think they know everything, but they cannot see our real preparations. That is hidden. They cannot measure human cleverness." Claire pointed at the screen. "They are sending ships to test the defenses. Small probes, they want to see how we react." Daniel nodded. "Good, let them see our calm. Let them see that we do not panic. We will respond only when necessary. That is how humans survive." Aaron whispered, "I still feel fear sometimes. I am not like you." Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder again. "Fear is normal. Everyone feels it, but humans do not let fear control them. We act in spite of it. That is what matters. That is how we survive the impossible." Lisa looked at the young officer and nodded. "He is right. We have survived disasters before. This is just another one. Not bigger than the floods, earthquakes, or wars humans have faced. Just different." The alien fleet fired again, a warning shot into the ocean. The waves rose like mountains for a moment before crashing back. People along the coast screamed, ran, and tried to take cover, but the command center remained calm. Daniel, Lisa, Claire, and Aaron watched carefully. They knew the fleet expected panic, not preparation. Daniel spoke quietly. "That is all we need for now. They expect us to react with fear. We do not. We study, we plan, and when the time comes, we act." Lisa nodded. "We show them that humans are different. That is our advantage. That is why we survive." Aaron looked at the sky one last time. "I think I'm beginning to understand. It is not just bravery, it is stubbornness. Humans never give up." "Yes," Daniel said. "That is why, even against an alien fleet, we laugh at fear. Not because we are foolish, but because we know it will not control us. That is what they do not understand, and that is our power." For a moment, silence filled the command center. The fleet hovered above, massive and imposing, but below, humans remained calm. They were small, yes, and fragile compared to the fleet, but they were clever, stubborn, and prepared. They did not panic. They did not surrender. They observed, calculated, and waited. And for the first time, the aliens might have realized that humans were not like any other species they had faced. That thought, though they did not speak it, filled them with a strange uncertainty. Daniel, Lisa, Claire, and Aaron continued their work. They studied, planned, and waited. Outside, humans continued their lives, calm but aware. The first meeting between humanity and the galactic fleet had happened. The aliens had expected fear. But humans had given something far stronger: calmness, courage, and quiet laughter at the threat. And so, the first test was over. Humanity had met the fleet not with surrender but with understanding, not with panic but with preparation, not with weakness but with the quiet strength that had kept them alive for millennia. In that moment, one thing was clear: humans were not afraid. And the galactic fleet had just learned that sometimes the smallest and seemingly weakest species could stand against the greatest power in the galaxy. The alien fleet had been in orbit for hours, scanning the Earth, observing humans, and sending messages that demanded surrender. Every human watched and waited, but the fleet had not expected the calmness, the stubborn courage, or the strange sense of humor that humans displayed. The ships were enormous, precise, and deadly, yet the humans remained unpredictable. Inside a command center in Washington, D.C., Daniel Ross stood at a large table with Lisa Moore, Aaron Hill, and Claire Adams. The room was filled with projections of the alien ships, calculations of their energy outputs, and simulations of potential attacks. "They are planning something," Claire said. "I can feel it. They want to test us, see how we react." Daniel nodded. "Good, let them test. Observation is part of survival. The more they expose themselves, the more we learn. That is our advantage." Aaron frowned. "But what if they attack a city? People could die." Lisa shook her head. "They are calculating risk too. Every demonstration so far has avoided massive casualties. I think they are trying to measure human reaction, not destroy the planet immediately." Daniel tapped the table. "Exactly. They expect panic and we do not give it to them. That is why they are hesitant, but we need more than calm observation. We need action, subtle action, something that shows we are capable without provoking full aggression." Claire's eyes lit up. "You mean a test of our own?" "Yes," Daniel said. "A countermeasure that is not an attack but a statement, something they cannot predict." Outside, the alien fleet moved. Small probes descended into the atmosphere, hovering over cities and military bases. Their presence was intimidating. They were equipped with sensors and minor weapons, enough to intimidate humans but not enough to destroy completely. The aliens expected fear. Instead, humans were studying them. In New York, Daniel, Lisa, Aaron, and Claire prepared for a demonstration of human ingenuity. Claire worked on a series of small but advanced ships. They were not massive like the alien fleet, but each was designed to be clever, maneuverable, and unpredictable. Pilots were being trained to respond calmly and carefully. Aaron watched the simulations of how the fleet might react. "They will be shocked if we do anything unexpected," he said. Daniel nodded. "That is the point. They have never faced humans before. They do not understand our resourcefulness. They have never met a species that can adapt so quickly." Lisa glanced at her data. "They are scanning everything. Satellites, power grids, energy signals. They want to understand us completely, but they cannot. They cannot measure human creativity, courage, or stubbornness." Daniel smiled faintly. "And that is exactly what we will show them. Not by words, not by threats, but by action." Claire continued preparing the ships. Each one was simple in appearance but packed with clever technology. They could move fast, hide easily, and deliver small but effective signals. The aliens would see movement, but they would not know its purpose. "Are we really going to fly them in front of the fleet?" Aaron asked. "It seems risky." Daniel shook his head. "Not risky, controlled. We are not attacking. We are showing that humans are not fragile. That is enough to confuse them. They expect fear and we give confidence." Lisa added, "And humor, maybe. A little humor can show unpredictability, something they cannot calculate." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. Humor is part of our strength. It shows we do not take ourselves too seriously, even in the face of overwhelming power. That is part of what makes humans dangerous." As the small ships prepared for launch, the alien fleet moved closer. Their sensors were active, scanning Earth for threats. Every movement of the human ships was tracked, every energy signal recorded. Yet the aliens still did not understand the humans fully. Daniel looked at the pilots, young men and women who had trained for this moment. Remember, we do not fight unless necessary. This is observation. This is demonstration. Show them human skill, human calm, human courage. That is enough. The ships lifted off, moving in formation. They were small, but their patterns were precise, clever, and unpredictable. They moved in ways the alien fleet had not calculated. The projections of their paths appeared on the fleet's sensors, and for a moment the aliens paused. They did not know how to respond. Aaron whispered, "They don't know what we're doing. They're confused." Daniel smiled. "Exactly, confusion is a weapon. They are strong, yes. They are precise, but they cannot predict human unpredictability. That is our advantage." Outside, the ships performed their maneuvers, flying close to the fleet but always maintaining safe distance. They sent signals, small bursts of energy and lights that the aliens could not interpret. For the first time, the aliens were not fully in control. They had power, but humans had something they did not: ingenuity. Claire watched the projections. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, we are showing them strategy, skill, and creativity. That is powerful, Daniel nodded. It is more than power. It is the essence of humanity. We survive because we adapt. We survive because we are clever, brave, and stubborn. And we laugh at danger when others would panic. That is something no weapon can replicate. The alien fleet responded slowly, sending signals that humans could not fully interpret. Their ships adjusted positions, tested defenses, and measured reactions. But the humans did not panic. They responded with calm, measured movements. They adapted. Aaron grinned. "It's like they're playing a game with us and we know the rules better than they do." Daniel nodded. "Yes, but the rules are not always known. That is human strength. We improvise, we survive, and when the time comes, we act decisively." Lisa studied the energy projections. "The fleet is recalculating. They are not used to this. No species they have met behaves like us. They expect fear and they see confidence. That is destabilizing for them." The human ships continued their maneuvers. Small bursts of light and energy, carefully timed movements, and minor signals filled the sky. To an alien observer, it might have seemed chaotic. To humans, it was precise, deliberate, and clever. Daniel looked at Aaron. "Do you see? We do not need to destroy them. We just need to show that we are not weak, that we are not afraid. That is enough to change their calculations." Aaron nodded slowly. "I understand now. We are showing strength in ways they cannot measure." Claire smiled. "And they cannot predict what we will do next. That is frightening for them. For all their power, they cannot control us fully." Lisa added, "It is strange to think that small ships like ours can confuse such a massive fleet." Daniel shook his head. "Not strange. It is the nature of humans. We survive through cleverness, courage, and determination. Size is not always the measure of strength." The alien fleet paused. Their ships hovered, sensors active, lights blinking. They had power, but they did not have understanding. And understanding was what humans relied on most. Daniel gave a signal. The ships returned to base safely. No one panicked. Everyone had executed the maneuvers perfectly. The message had been sent without a single shot fired in anger. Humans had shown skill, intelligence, and calm in the face of overwhelming power. Aaron smiled faintly. "They must be surprised. I've never seen them so quiet." Daniel nodded. "Yes, they expected panic. They expected chaos. Instead, they saw humans working calmly, showing cleverness, and refusing to surrender. That is a powerful statement." Lisa looked at the data. "Their calculations are off now. They are trying to understand us, but they cannot. They are seeing humans for the first time and they are not sure what to make of us." Claire said softly, "It is amazing. We did not attack and yet we have shown power." Daniel smiled. Exactly. Power is not always about weapons. Power is about confidence, intelligence, and the will to survive. We have shown them all three. Outside, the alien fleet remained in orbit, massive and imposing. But now there was hesitation. They had power, yes, but they had not expected humans to respond with calm, skill, and cleverness instead of fear. Aaron whispered, "I think they are learning something. About us." Daniel nodded. "Yes, they are learning that humans are not like other species. That we do not follow the rules they expect. That we survive when others fall. That is why we laughed before and why we remain calm now. That is our strength." Lisa added, "It is strange but effective. Humor, calm, skill, these are weapons too." Daniel smiled faintly. "Sometimes the most dangerous weapon is the one that cannot be measured. Confidence, courage, and cleverness. That is humanity." The fleet adjusted its position again, scanning the humans carefully. They had power, technology, and precision. But humans had unpredictability, stubbornness, and ingenuity. That was enough to confuse the most experienced commanders. Daniel looked at the city below. People continued their lives, unaware of the subtle demonstration above. Children laughed in parks, workers moved through streets, and families ate breakfast together. Humans were calm, resilient, and strong in ways the aliens could not understand. Claire whispered, "They thought they would terrify us. Instead, we have shown them our mind and spirit. That is far more powerful than they expect." Daniel nodded. "Exactly, and the next steps will show them even more. Humans survive because we adapt, we plan, and we act when necessary. That is why no fleet in the galaxy has yet defeated us." Aaron looked up at the massive ships again. I think I am beginning to understand. Humans are not afraid because we know fear does not help. We are afraid, yes, but we do not let it control us." Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "Exactly. That is the lesson the aliens are learning now. And that is why, when the time comes, humanity will always survive. Not because we are strongest, but because we are cleverest, calmest, and bravest." The alien fleet remained, massive and powerful, yet cautious. Humans had shown skill, cleverness, and calm. They had performed their own demonstration without firing a weapon in anger. The first real test had ended, and humans had passed without fear. For the first time, the aliens realized that humans were not like any species they had encountered before. Small, fragile, and unpredictable, humans were dangerous in ways they could not calculate. Daniel, Lisa, Claire, and Aaron looked at the projections one last time. The fleet was still there, massive and intimidating, but no longer completely confident. Humans had shown skill, courage, and cleverness. They had survived the first encounter not with weapons, but with mind, calm, and stubborn courage. And that was the power of humanity. The alien fleet hovered above Earth like a wall of steel and light. Their ships were massive, organized, and deadly, yet the humans below were calm. The first encounters had shown the aliens that humans were not predictable, that they did not panic, and that they had skills beyond what the invaders could measure. Now, Daniel Ross, Lisa Moore, Claire Adams, and Aaron Hill prepared for the next stage of their plan. Inside the command center, Claire worked on her consoles, monitoring the alien fleet's movement and analyzing energy signatures. "They are cautious," she said. "They have power, yes, but they hesitate now. They are trying to understand what humans are capable of, but we are not showing everything yet." Daniel nodded. "Good. Let them hesitate. That hesitation is our advantage. Humans survive because we can wait, watch, and act at the right moment. That is something no alien calculation can predict." Aaron leaned over a map of the solar system. "What do we do next? The first test worked. They were confused, but they are still here. They still have the power to destroy us." Daniel smiled faintly. "We do not attack yet. We continue the demonstration, but now we push them further. Not with weapons, but with strategy. We show them that humans are capable of more than fear. That is enough to unsettle them." Lisa added, They are scanning the Earth constantly. They are trying to measure our capabilities, but they cannot see human ingenuity. They cannot see how we adapt, plan, and survive. Daniel looked at the young officer. Aaron, do you understand now why humans are not afraid? Fear is normal. We feel it, but it does not control us. That is the difference between us and other species. They expect fear and we give calm. That is our advantage. Aaron nodded slowly. I think I do. It is not bravery, it is understanding. Knowing fear does not help and using intelligence instead. Daniel smiled. Exactly. And now we use that understanding to act. Claire tapped her tablet. I have prepared a series of maneuvers for our smaller ships. They are not attacks. They are demonstrations. We will show precision, speed, and unpredictability. The aliens will not know our intentions. That is the point. Lisa studied the projections. If we do this correctly, they will hesitate again. They will see humans as unpredictable, clever, and capable. That hesitation could prevent them from using full force against us. Daniel nodded. Good. We are not here to destroy. We are here to survive, to show strength, and to demonstrate that humans are not weak. That is enough. Outside, the humans prepared. Small spacecraft lifted off from hidden bases. Pilots were calm, following the precise maneuvers Claire had designed. Each ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but each carried advanced sensors and signals to confuse and measure the enemy fleet. Aaron watched the screens nervously. They are huge. Our ships are tiny. How can we possibly make a difference? Daniel smiled. By being clever, by using what they cannot predict, by showing that humans do not follow the rules they expect. That is how we survive. The small human ships moved in patterns above the planet. They weaved between the larger alien ships, sending signals, performing maneuvers, and testing reactions. The alien commanders observed but could not interpret the purpose. To them, it looked chaotic. To humans, it was precise, deliberate, and intelligent. Lisa whispered, they are adjusting their formations. They are confused. They cannot calculate our moves. That is working perfectly. Daniel nodded. Exactly. Humans survive because we are unpredictable. That is why the smallest ship can unsettle the largest fleet. That is why fear does not control us. Aaron's voice was quiet. I think I understand. We are showing them that humans are not fragile, that we can survive even when the odds are against us. Claire smiled. And they cannot see all our plans. They only see what we allow them to see. That is our advantage. They have power, but we have strategy. Daniel gave a signal and the ships adjusted their patterns. Lights flashed, signals pulsed, and for a moment the alien fleet paused. Their sensors recorded movement, energy output, and communication signals, but they still did not understand the humans fully. Aaron whispered, it's like they are learning something new every moment, but they can't grasp it. Daniel nodded. Yes. And that is the lesson humans have learned for centuries. Adaptation is stronger than brute force. Patience is stronger than panic. Cleverness is stronger than numbers. That is why we survive. Outside, the aliens fired a small test weapon at a desert region far from any city. A mountain exploded in smoke and rock, but humans had evacuated the area and set up shields to absorb most of the energy. The blast was dramatic, yes, but it did not cause mass casualties. Instead, it served as a lesson. Humans were careful, observant, and prepared. Lisa watched the screens. They want to provoke fear, they want to test reactions, but we do not panic, we adapt. That is why they are hesitant now. Daniel nodded. Exactly, they expected screams, chaos, and surrender. Instead, they see calm, calculation, and careful observation. That is a powerful signal. Aaron looked at the projections. Do you really think this is enough to survive against all that power? Daniel smiled. It is not only enough, it is the only way. Brute force will fail. Panic will fail. Cleverness, calm, and preparation, these are human strengths. That is how we survive what others cannot. Claire added, our ships are returning now. All pilots report success. No damage, no errors. They executed the maneuvers perfectly. Daniel nodded. Good. That shows the aliens that humans are capable, that we are clever, precise, and unpredictable. That is enough to make even the largest fleet pause. Lisa smiled faintly. They expected fear, but we showed strategy. That is powerful. Aaron looked at Daniel. You really believe humans can stand against them? Daniel nodded. Not by sheer force, by intelligence, courage, and patience. That is the real strength of humanity. The aliens do not understand it yet, but they will learn. Outside, the fleet moved cautiously. They had power, but humans had shown a different kind of strength. The aliens could destroy cities, yes, but humans could survive, adapt, and respond in ways the invaders could not predict. That was the edge humans had, and it was invisible. Claire said softly, "It is strange. Our ships are small, our weapons are not massive, but the aliens are cautious now. They fear our unpredictability." Daniel smiled. Exactly. Power is not always in size or firepower. Power is in intelligence, preparation, and calm action. Humans have all three in abundance. Aaron whispered, "I never thought we could do this. I never thought humans could survive such a fleet without fighting." Daniel nodded. "It is not about fighting. It is about surviving. It is about showing strength in ways the enemy cannot measure. That is why humans have always endured. That is why we are still here." Lisa studied the alien fleet carefully. They are recalculating. They are trying to predict our next move, but they cannot. Humans do not follow patterns they can fully understand. That is why we are strong. Daniel placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. "Remember this moment. This is what makes humans different. We face danger, yes, but we do not let it control us. We act, we observe, and we survive. That is the lesson the aliens are learning now." Outside, the small human ships returned to their bases safely. The aliens observed, scanning and analyzing, but they could not measure all the hidden preparations, the careful strategies, or the clever minds of the humans. The first countermeasure had been successful. Humans had shown that they were not fragile, that they could act with precision, and that they could survive the impossible. Aaron whispered, "They must be confused. I've never seen them hesitate like this." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. They expected panic. They expected surrender. Instead, they saw calm, cleverness, and control. That is a kind of power no weapon can replicate." Lisa smiled. "And it works. Even with all their size and strength, they hesitate. That is humanity's advantage." Claire added, "It is amazing. Our strategy worked without destroying anything. We showed strength without violence. That is human." Daniel looked at the screens one last time. "And that is how we survive. Not through fear, not through panic, not through brute force, but through cleverness, courage, and calm action. That is the real power of humanity." Outside, the alien fleet hovered above Earth, massive and intimidating, yet cautious. They had power, yes, but they were beginning to understand that humans were different. Humans were not predictable. Humans were clever. Humans survived when others fell. The alien fleet hung above the Earth, massive and powerful, yet now hesitant. For hours, humans had shown calm, cleverness, and careful strategy. Small ships had moved unpredictably, signals had been sent, and demonstrations had been carried out. Nothing was destroyed, yet the aliens were confused. They had power, but they did not understand humanity. Inside the command center, Daniel Ross, Lisa Moore, Claire Adams, and Aaron Hill watched the fleet carefully. The projections showed movements, energy readings, and communications from the alien commanders. Their pause was unusual. "They are waiting," Claire said. "They do not know what we will do next. They are cautious." Daniel nodded. "Good. That hesitation is exactly what we want. Humans survive because we observe, plan, and act at the right moment. The aliens do not understand patience. That is our advantage." Aaron frowned. "But what happens if they decide to attack anyway?" Lisa shook her head. "They could, but they are hesitant because we have not reacted with fear, panic, or aggression. They see skill, precision, and confidence. That makes them uncertain. And uncertainty can slow the most powerful forces. Daniel smiled faintly. Exactly. We have not attacked, yet we have shown strength. Now we finish the demonstration and make them understand why humans are different. Outside, the small human ships lifted again. This time, they did not approach the alien vessels too closely. Instead, they moved in coordinated patterns above the planet, sending energy signals that mimicked larger fleets. They created false projections of activity, making it appear that Earth had more resources, more ships, and more defenses than the aliens could calculate. Claire watched the displays. They are scanning these signals. They think they are measuring actual fleets, but it is a trick. Humans are clever and the aliens cannot see the real numbers. Daniel nodded. Exactly. We survive because we are clever. That is why no power in the galaxy can control us. They expect strength only through size or firepower. Humans have strength through intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Aaron looked at the projections. It is strange that we can show power without using weapons. Lisa smiled. That is human nature. Brute force is not always the answer. Cleverness, strategy, and calm action can be more powerful than the largest weapon. The alien commanders spoke again through the projection. Humans of Earth, you are clever, you show skill, but your power is small. You cannot match our fleet. Surrender now or risk total destruction. Daniel stepped forward calmly. We are listening. He paused, then spoke clearly, knowing that the fleet was hearing. You have power, yes. You are massive, precise, and organized. But you do not understand humanity. We are small, fragile, yet clever. We are cautious, yet brave. We adapt, we survive, and we endure. That is why fear does not control us. The alien commanders paused, and for the first time there was silence across the fleet. No words, no signals, no movement, just observation. Aaron whispered, "Do you think they understand?" Daniel shook his head. "Not yet, but they will learn. That is enough for now." Claire added, "They are recalculating again. They cannot predict us. Every move we make is different. Every action shows that we are clever, stubborn, and capable." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. We do not need to destroy them to prove our point. We survive. We show skill. That is enough. That is humanity." Outside, humans continued their calm lives. People watched the sky, aware of the massive fleet above, yet confident that humanity could endure. Children laughed in parks. Farmers worked in fields. Teachers guided their students. The world moved steadily because humans had learned to stand when others would fall. Lisa said softly, "It is strange to think that our calmness is what makes us strong. Not weapons, not ships, not numbers, just observation, intelligence, and courage." Daniel smiled. "That is why humans endure. That is why no threat, no matter how powerful, can break us completely. We survive because we are clever, patient, and brave. That is our strength." The alien fleet shifted. Their ships moved slowly, carefully, as if testing the patience of humanity. They had power, yes, but the humans had shown them something unfamiliar: unpredictability, cleverness, and courage. Aaron whispered, "Do you think they will leave?" Daniel shook his head. "Not yet, but they will understand that we are not like other species. We do not tremble. We do not surrender, we survive, and that is enough." Claire tapped her console. "They are sending signals that are not threats. They are trying to communicate. Something has changed. They are hesitant but curious." Daniel nodded. "Good. Curiosity is the first step to understanding. We do not need to fight. We only need to survive, show skill, and demonstrate what humans are capable of. That is enough." Lisa smiled. "They expected fear, but we gave them confidence. We showed skill. That is human." Daniel looked at Aaron. "Do you see now? Humans do not survive by panic. We survive by intelligence, courage, and patience. That is why the aliens hesitate now. They do not know how to measure us, and that hesitation is power." Outside, the human ships returned to their bases safely. They had moved carefully, strategically, and unpredictably. They had shown skill, cleverness, and confidence without firing a single weapon. The aliens had observed, analyzed, and recalculated. But they still did not fully understand humanity. Aaron whispered, "They cannot control us, can they?" Daniel shook his head. "No, they have power, yes, but they cannot predict us. They cannot measure courage, patience, or intelligence. That is humanity's advantage. And they will learn it eventually." Claire added, "It is amazing. We survived without destroying anything. We have shown skill and confidence. That is more than enough to make them hesitate." Lisa nodded. "They are recalculating again. They are learning that humans are not fragile, that we are clever, adaptive, and stubborn. That is why they hesitate." Daniel smiled. "Exactly. That is why humans endure. That is why we laugh in the face of danger. Not because we are foolish, but because we know fear does not control us. That is our power." The alien fleet paused, massive and intimidating, yet cautious. They had power, yes, but humans had shown them a different kind of strength. Humans had skill, courage, patience, and intelligence. They had survived the impossible without surrendering or panicking. That was enough to make the fleet hesitate. Aaron looked at the sky. "I think they are starting to understand. Humans cannot be controlled." Daniel nodded. "Yes, they may never fully understand, but they know we are different. That is enough. Humans survive because we do not let fear control us. We act, adapt, and endure. That is the lesson we teach without a single shot fired." Lisa smiled. "And we have shown them humor, too. Calm laughter at the impossible. That is human, that is strength." Claire added softly, "It is strange. Small, fragile humans can stand against the greatest power in the galaxy. But we do because we understand courage, intelligence, and patience. That is our advantage." Daniel looked at the projections one last time. The fleet remained, massive and intimidating, yet cautious. They had power, yes, but they had seen humans who did not panic, who did not surrender, who survived the impossible. Aaron whispered, "We really did it. We showed them." Daniel smiled faintly. "Yes, we did, not by destroying, not by fighting, but by being clever, patient, and brave. That is the real power of humanity. That is why we endure. That is why the fleet will leave, knowing humans cannot be broken by fear alone." Outside, the alien ships slowly began to move away. Their sensors still scanned, but their confidence had diminished. Humans had met the fleet, and instead of panic or surrender, they had responded with calm, skill, and cleverness. They had survived without firing a weapon, and the aliens had learned something they could not calculate. Humans were stubborn, clever, and brave. Daniel, Lisa, Claire, and Aaron watched silently. For the first time, the galaxy truly understood that humans were not like other species. They survived because they adapted, they endured because they were clever, and they resisted because they were brave. And above all, humans laughed quietly at the impossible, not in mockery but in acceptance. That laughter, calm and steady, was a message no weapon could carry. The fleet finally retreated, massive ships moving slowly into space, leaving Earth untouched. The humans had not fired a single shot in anger, but they had shown that they could survive anything. They had shown that courage, intelligence, and patience were stronger than brute force. Daniel stepped outside with Lisa, Claire, and Aaron. The sky was calm again, the sun shining on the world that had stood its ground. People continued their lives, but the moment had changed them. They knew now that humans were capable of surviving even the greatest power in the galaxy. Aaron looked at Daniel. "We really did it. We survived. We showed them who we are." Daniel nodded. "Yes, and that is why humans endure, not because we are the strongest, not because we are the largest, but because we are clever, patient, brave, and never controlled by fear. That is our true strength." Lisa added softly, and we laughed. Even when faced with impossible odds, humans laughed. "That is what they will remember. That is humanity," Claire smiled. "And they will think twice before underestimating us again." Daniel looked up at the sky, calm and steady. "Yes. Let them remember. Let the galaxy see that humans are not fragile, that we survive, that we endure, and that even in the face of overwhelming power, we remain clever, brave, and free. The sun rose higher and humans continued their lives, calm, confident, and smiling. The alien fleet had retreated, but the lesson remained. Humans were not to be feared because they could never be controlled by fear alone. They were clever, stubborn, and brave. They were humanity, and that was enough.